welcome back to Stace Does Travel. I am so excited about today's video because I'm going to be giving you my top 10 tips to your first time at Disneyland California. So I went to Disneyland California for the first time in November of 2024 and I absolutely fell in love with it there. I cannot describe to you how magical it is there. It is just such a special place. If you haven't already, I do have a playlist on my channel of Disneyland California 2024, so do go and give those videos a watch if you want to see our experience. We stayed at Disneyland for 5 days for the Christmas season and it was the most magical trip, so those videos are on my channel if you do want to go and give them a watch. So tip number 1, probably the most cliche tip, the one you'll see in all the websites online anyway: download the Disneyland app. Please download the Disneyland app. I cannot stress this enough. It is so helpful. Like, have a look at it before you go, get to know the layout of the parks, know where your favourite rides are so you can get there. Just download the Disneyland app. It has everything you need to know on there. So it has the full park maps, it has dining reservations, it has dining locations, it has ride times, it has your lightning lane on there. It has everything that you could possibly need for a Disney trip. The only thing I will say is it does drain your battery. Like, my battery was going down real fast. So definitely get to know the layout of the parks before you go, because that is something we did struggle a little bit with, is finding our feet. So it probably took us about 2 or 3 days to try and figure out where everything was, because although we both looked at the app beforehand, we hadn't looked at it probably as much as we should have. We had a rough idea of where everything was, but we did quite often have to go on the map and be like, right, where is this place and where do we need to go? So definitely do download the Disneyland app and do your research before you go. Have a look at that app, have a look at the map, have a look at the dining locations. You know, if you want to eat somewhere specific, have a look at the menu before you go. Have backup options just in case things aren't available. So yeah, my number 1 tip is just download the Disneyland app. I know everyone says it, but you need it, trust me. My second tip is to make a must-do list and get them done as soon as you can. And I know you're probably thinking, oh, but if I have a must-do list, I want to spread them out through the trip so that we really enjoy ourselves and have like something to do every day. No, do them as soon as you can, trust me. You think, you know, however long you go for is going to be long enough, and I can promise you it is not. We thought 5 days would be more than enough time in Disneyland, and it was nowhere near enough time. There's so much we missed purely because we just didn't have enough time to do it all. And we were in the park sun up, sun down pretty much the entire time. So definitely, just before you go, write down 5, 10, 15 things that you really have to do while you're there. So if you want to see like a certain nighttime show, put that on your must-do list and get it done. If you want to do a certain ride, put that on your list and get it done. If you want to meet a certain character, find out where they meet, go and meet them, because so much can change in the Disney parks. Like, shows can be cancelled last minute, characters could be in a different location, or they can be cancelled last minute, weather can happen. So I honestly cannot recommend just making a must-do list and just do them as soon as you can. If you get everything done in your first day, amazing. That's one hell of a first day to have. But I just really would hate for somebody to go with their must-do list and miss something because they were going to do it on their last day, but that character wasn't out that day, or that ride broke down and it never came back up that last day. So yeah, I don't think there was anything in particular we missed, but we didn't actually have a list to go out with, to be honest. We didn't make a must-do list. We're very experienced in Disney parks, so we didn't have anything that was 100% important that we had to do. So we did manage to get everything that we wanted done, but for other people who are going, you might have a really long list of things you absolutely have to do. So write them down and get them done as soon as you can. Tip number 3 is mobile order. Mobile order at Disneyland Resort is incredible. I couldn't believe how many places offered mobile order. Literally, probably about 90% of anywhere you can get food from offered mobile order. It was incredible. Even some of like the little food stands you could mobile order from. It was absolutely amazing. And what it does is it basically just saves you waiting in that line. Because, you know, there could be half an hour worth of people in that queue to get food. But if you mobile order, you go to a different till and you get your food there instead, because they know you're coming. They've cooked your food for you. All you have to do is let them know you're there and they give you your food. It's amazing. I think we probably mobile ordered about 80% of the time because we had the option to, and it was just so much easier for us to do that mobile order than to stand for God knows how long in a queue just to get some food. So yeah, I would definitely mobile order as much as you can. Like, honestly, if where you want to go have food has mobile order, just do it. Like, honestly, just do it. Like, I think the day we went to Pim Test Kitchen, we mobile ordered, and when I went inside to get the food, there was probably about 15 people waiting to be served, and I'd got my food before the first like 5 had got theirs. So it does save you a lot of time, and it's so much easier. Like, the menus on there are really, really clear. You can have anything that you can order from a till on there, so it's just so easy and just makes your life so much easier. Tip number 4, and this is just for your first time, get the lightning lane. Just pay the money for the lightning lane. Yes, it is a lot of money. We had lightning lane included in our tickets, so we had the option to do just tickets or tickets and lightning lane. I think it was probably about maybe £100 more to have the lightning lane included, and we were like, well, it's our first time, we want to get as much as we can done. Oh my god, I'm so glad we had it. It was amazing. It saved us so much time. We were skipping 60-minute queues sometimes. It was awesome. And probably my biggest tip with this one is learn how to use it properly, because I can't remember the exact ins and outs of it now, but it's, you book a lightning lane, as soon as you scan into that, you can book another one, or 2 hours later. So we absolutely loved the lightning lane. We used it as often as we could, but my biggest tip with it probably would be A, learn how to use it, and B, book things as early as you can, because we found by about 3 or 4 o'clock, things were eking in later into the night. So like 9 p.m. was coming up, 10 p.m. was coming up. And that's when we were seeing, like, you know, the nighttime shows. So we didn't want a 9 p.m. or a 10 p.m. So we tried to do as much as we could in like the morning, the early afternoon, just so we could make sure that we did get slots for our lightning lane, because we want to make sure that we did use it to its full potential, because we'd already paid for it. But it was, honestly, it saved us hours and hours of waiting in queues. It was amazing. We got so much done. We got to re-ride all of our favourite rides, and I don't think we ever waited more than 15 minutes. Like, yes, there were some rides we did do standby with, but for the majority, we did use our lightning lane and our multipass, and it was just incredible. So for your first time, just pay the money for the lightning lane. I know it's a lot of money, but we found it so helpful. Tip number 5 is to try and get a reservation at Lamplight Lounge. We had a reservation there on the second day of our trip, and we absolutely loved it. So if you don't already know, Lamplight Lounge is in California Adventure, and it basically looks out over Pixar Pier. So we had this gorgeous meal and these gorgeous drinks with this gorgeous view. I'll pop a picture in here just in case anyone's wondering what I'm talking about, but it was one of those moments that I will remember forever, because sitting there looking out at Pixar Pier with one of my best friends, eating some lovely food and having some lovely drinks, I just felt really grateful to be there in that moment, and we just had a really nice time. And it's also a really good relax in the middle of the day. So if you're like me and you're going to Disney for the first time and you want to be in those parks sun up till sundown, you need that chill time, trust me. So having Lamplight Lounge booked just means you can sit and you can chill and you can relax for an hour. We were probably there for maybe an hour and a half. So we just had a cocktail and some food, but it's just got a really nice vibe in there, and obviously the view is gorgeous. So if you're going to get any reservation at Disneyland, I would make it that one. Number 6, Fantasmic. Go and see it. Please go and see it. You probably think, I've seen it at Disney World, I don't need to see it again, I'd rather go see the fireworks or World of Colour. Go and see Fantasmic. It is very different to Walt Disney World. I cried each time we saw it. We actually saw it twice because we loved it so much. But go and see it, because yes, it has its similarities to Walt Disney World's, but it's also a completely different show at the same time. And there's some, I'm not going to spoil anything. If you've seen the visuals, you'll know what happens, but there are some magical extras that do happen and that are a lot different to Walt Disney World. But it's just such an incredible show. Like, it's just got all of the Disney magic. Like, that was my favourite show of the 3 that we saw. So we saw Fantasmic, we saw World of Colour, and we also saw the Believe in Holiday Magic fireworks. So those are the fireworks for the Christmas season. Fantasmic was my favourite. Like, hands down, 1,000,000,000,000%. I would watch it every night for 5 nights if I could. It was just absolutely incredible. So if you are heading there, please do go and watch Fantasmic, because it is so worth it. So another little mini tip for that one is to try and get there as early as you can. We probably got there about 45 minutes to an hour before, and we had some really good views both times. People do queue from probably about 90 minutes, 2 hours before to get those good spots. So I will leave that down to you, whether you want to sacrifice time for a good view or whether you want to risk rocking up a little bit later, maybe half an hour before, and maybe not having quite so good of a view because you're having too much fun elsewhere. But that is just probably something I would add onto that. Following on from my get there early tip as well, tip number 7, get there early for the parades. So the only parade that was on when we went was the Christmas time parade. Can't remember what it's called for the life of me, but it was the Christmas parade. The first time we saw it, we got there about 45 minutes before and we could not get a spot anywhere. We walked basically the entire parade route and it was just absolutely chock-a-block. There was no room for anyone. So what we had to do was sort of stand back from the crowd, and then we sort of perched ourselves on like a little fence so we could just about see over the top of everyone's heads. But it kind of ruined the first experience of the parade for us because we couldn't see it very well. So the second time we watched it, we probably got there probably about an hour before, and we actually managed to get quite a good spot for that one. So yes, if you are planning on seeing the parades, get there as early as you can because everybody else wants to see the parade just as much as you do. Tip number 8. This one might be a little bit controversial because I've had a lot of people disagree with me on Instagram. Radiator Springs racers. Pay for the lightning lane. Just bloody do it. Pay for the lightning lane. We queued for 2.5 hours. That's 2.5 hours of my life I'm never going to get back. We went there for rope drop and we thought, oh, we'll be on and off this in an hour. It had a 40-minute delay, I will say that. But even without that 40-minute delay, that's still over an hour and a half of waiting. Like, that is an insane amount of time if you ask me. I think the day we went, it was $22 per person for the lightning lane. I would pay it again and again. The ride is great, don't get me wrong, but it is not worth a 2.5 hour queue. Like, somebody replied, because I put it on Instagram, someone replied being like, what the hell, we waited like 15 minutes in the morning, and I was like, how? Why? What? So, yeah, if you get there and it's looking busy, just buy the bloody lightning lane. It's a lot of money, but it'll save you a lot of time. Tip number 8 only really applies if you're staying off-site, which I know a lot of people do because the on-site hotels are really expensive. Really expensive. So if you are staying off-site, this applies to you. If you're lucky enough to stay on-site, have the best time. The hotel's beautiful, but you don't need to pay attention to what I'm about to say. But if you're off-site, so there is a bus service to Disneyland Resort that's called the ART bus, so ART bus. If you download the app, I'll put the picture on screen here and I'll also put the link in the bio for the app. You can basically track the bus that you need to do. So if you need to go from Disneyland back to your hotel, you can plug that into the app and it'll tell you the bus you need to get and how far away it is. It's really handy. It wasn't reliable 100% of the time, so sometimes it said a bus was there in 3 minutes and it would turn up 20 minutes later. So that, I will say, it's not 100% reliable, so don't believe it 100%, but it will give you a rough estimate and it will tell you which bus to get on, which is really handy. So we actually had a ART bus stop right outside our hotel, so for I think day 3 onwards, we actually used the bus. You can buy single tickets at a time, you can buy return tickets, you can buy multiple day passes. We got a 3-day pass and I think, if I remember, it was $16 per person, which we thought was quite reasonable for 3 days. So yes, if you are aching and your feet are hurting, or if you want to stop your feet from hurting and save yourself a couple of steps, definitely have a look at the bus service. It is really handy and really helpful. It does seem to service a lot of the off-site hotels. We stayed at Candlewood Suites in Anaheim and like I say, it stopped right outside our hotel. So yeah, if you're off-site, definitely have a look into that bus service because it will save your feet at the end of the day. I can't even describe to you. Tip number 10, you made it to the end, well done. So my last tip is to use any virtual queues that are available. So when we went, there was quite a lot of virtual queues actually. So there was a virtual queue for World of Colour. So that was basically just a reserved viewing space for World of Colour. We did use that on our 3rd day and we had a really good view of World of Colour, so I would definitely recommend doing that. And then I think there was also virtual queues for Haunted Mansion Holiday and Tiana's Bayou Adventure, so we utilised those. I think we utilised the Haunted Mansion one quite a few times actually, and then Tiana's we only did once, but it just means you don't have to stand in the regular queue. The queue. So I don't know what the rules are at time of filming anymore because I know a lot is changing with standby queues and all that jazz, but if there are virtual queues available on your trip, use them. They will save you so much time, so much stress. Like it just eases that, oh, I've got to go stand in an hour-long queue, or oh my god, we're not going to be able to get a good spot for World of Colour. Like it just eases a bit of stress and a bit of anxiety and a bit of time. So if there are virtual queues available, use them. You thought I was done and you were wrong. Here is my bonus tip. Have fun. Please, if you go to Disneyland Resort, remember to have fun. Like, Disney holidays can be a lot, especially when it's your first time in a Disney park. It can be really overwhelming and really stressful, and you want to, get everything done, and you exhaust yourself and your feet hurt, and you're arguing with your friends and family because, you're so exhausted and you've been on your feet for 14 hours. But please try and remember, Disney is a happy place. It's a fun place. You're there to have fun. You're not there to be in a schedule and to be in a really strict schedule and to think, right, I've got to go here and I've got to go here and I've got to go here. Sometimes you do just need to take your foot off the gas and just think, I'm in the most magical place on earth and I'm going to enjoy myself. Like, that is something that I do find difficult because I am a big planner. Like, if you speak to Emily, who came with me, she'll tell you I was like on the app, I was getting lightning lanes, I was getting virtual queues, I was on it. But then I did have to take that step back and think, well, this is my holiday as well. Like, I have to enjoy myself, I have to have fun. And I did. I had the best bloody time, because sometimes I was like, well, I'm just going to put my phone away and I'm just going to enjoy the vibe and the atmosphere. And, if we stumble across a ride with a low weight, great, we'll do that. So my bonus tip is just to have fun and just have the most magical time, because it really is the most magical place on earth. I cannot describe to you. It is just something else out there. It's just honestly such a glorious, special place. So those are my top 10 plus a bonus tips for Disneyland California if you were going for your very first time. I really hope that you found these tips useful. These are things that I wish I'd known before I'd gone, or I'd learned out there, or things that I learned before I went that really did help me. So I thought this video would help anyone else who may be going out to Disneyland California. I am also a fully qualified travel agent, so if you want any help booking your trip, I'm now quite the expert in it because I researched for so long. So if you do want any help booking your trip, please do feel free to leave me a comment here, or you can give me a message on my Instagram. I will leave it here on screen for you. So yeah, if you do want any help booking your next trip, I'd be more than happy to help you. But for now, I will say goodbye and I'll catch you in the next one.